Hey everyone, welcome back to Money Talks. And in today's video, it's going to be somewhat of a special video because we're not really going to talk about a real estate topic per se. We're going to talk about my experience going into my third month of practicing real estate. Now, for you viewers out there, you may be thinking about going into real estate, or maybe you are also in your first, second, or third month. I'm going to share my experience because there's a lot of videos out there that say, when you start doing real estate, do this, do that, and have this and have that, and think about this, think about that. Now, although all those videos are really informative, we don't really talk about what comes through your mind as you're navigating through the entirety of those suggestions. Because I want to say a day has 24 hours. In average, people sleep anywhere between 6 and 8 hours, right? But let's just assume we go for the 8 hours. That means that you are left over with 16 hours of your day. When you look at all those videos that are already out there, they'll give you specific things that you could do, but those things are probably anywhere between an hour to 2 hours, maybe three max. What about the rest of the 13 hours that are left over on that day? That is exactly what I want to share with you guys. So, the very first thing that I want to talk about is everyone's excited. Everyone, as soon as you're starting a new job, as soon as you're into a new relationship, anything that is brand new to you, we call that the honeymoon phase. So let's be honest with this. It feels amazing. Everyone's so excited. You passed your exam, or now you have your certifications. You just graduated from college. You're starting a new job. Anything that is newer to you, you're always excited. So you're posting here and you're posting there and you're talking to everyone like, hey, now I am a doctor, and now I am, I don't know, whatever the case may be. In this example for me, I'm going to say I'm a realtor, right? So you start and you post it on Facebook, you post it on LinkedIn, you post it or you text your friends about it. You do all these things. That's your honeymoon stage. You're so happy. You're sharing this with everyone. But then reality check comes in. After maybe like a week, you've already contacted all of your 1,000, 2,000 different contacts. And that's when you realize, oh my God, out of all these people that I texted, hey, ABC friend, just want to let right now I just got my license and I'm finally a realtor in Texas. And then you hear just crickets and no reply. Nothing wrong with that. Like, don't worry about it. But what I'm saying with this is reality comes around. And usually it takes about 2 weeks for your honeymoon phase. And then like week three, it's when it starts to like, oh God, what do I have to do? Now it's when you start to feel a little bit lost. Before we go further into this, one thing that I do want to say, it's the very first and most important thing in my opinion that I went through, it's choosing the brokerage that's going to sponsor you. Now, again, this is going to be in a lot of videos. So if you look at many other videos here on YouTube of like what you have to do in your first week as a realtor, you want to be able to interview with many, many different brokerages. And there's going to be many, many out there, right? So in this case, I went to, I think it was like seven different ones. I can't remember the name, rather say the number. And I'm not going to mention names, but just like any other business, or just like any other um, part of a business itself, they're going to have managers. Yeah, you came from retail and you had a manager. Well, in real estate, you have a manager. There's always going to be a manager for everyone, and any kind of business will have one. And I can tell you, the manager really sets the pace to your success. You can come to the best company ever. I don't know. You can call it whichever it may be, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, whatever company you want to call it. If your direct manager doesn't supply that boost of energy, of morale, of roles, more than likely you're not going to succeed. So when they are interviewing you on the same way, you are interviewing them. So this video is not meant to say what questions should you do, although that's a good idea for a next video. I'm going to tell you my experience. The brokerage in which I ended up going for, the manager interview was so warm. It felt like we were talking just as other friends. And the way that we walked into the office and there was people around, obviously other realtors in there, and they were so kind to say, "Hey, good morning, welcome to our office, how's it going? Hello, my name's it's ABC, my name is ABC." It felt like a good place to be. And again, I'm not going to give names out there because I can't give out names, right? But the same way that I had this great experience with the brokerage that I ended up choosing to be with, I had the opposite experience in many of the other seven that I went to visit. And I'll tell you something that happened without really saying what happened because, we never want to get in trouble for that. But when I walked in, the manager from that office was like, "Hey, I know we have some time for us to chat, but can you give me 5 minutes? I'm running into a small issue." Which I was like, "Okay, we all go through issues. Don't you worry about it. It's a human thing that we have to deviate from our original plans, right?" 5 minutes go around. I'm not going to say 5, 7, whatever the minutes were around, but she calls me in and we talk, and she's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I had this inconvenience with so and so that did so and so, and I'm extremely mad at so and so because if they would have done XYZ, this wouldn't be a problem." I'm not sure if you follow what I'm saying, but if that's the kind of manager that I would be working for or working with, rather say, not sure how my problems will be solved in there. Instead of saying we've got an issue to address, I felt like there was more of a blaming instead of addressing the issue that was currently. Obviously, the person was taking care of the issue, right? But the way in which the problem got presented made me almost immediately say, yes, this is not going to be a place in which I want to be working. Now, take for granted that that is one of the offices. That brokerage had many different offices, and maybe a different office had a different manager that had a different approach. So I'm not saying that you should criticize or say that a specific company is bad for a specific thing that happened, but when you're interviewing for a brokerage, you really have to be able to interview them back because that's going to be a big part of your success. And that's how I felt over this 3 months. I've actually felt a big support from the team that I work with, and that's given me the opportunity to grow as an individual and as well as a realtor. But let's go back to the video and let's recap on what we're talking to. We first talked about like the honeymoon stage. Now we are on the reality check, which is typically the third week. It could last all the way to the 6th week, but again, everyone's different. My experience may be completely different than yours. Maybe you got in and you immediately closed a deal the next week. Maybe you are still trying to get that first deal. But again, this video is to share how I felt and the reality of things because I think that's something that doesn't really get talked to, at least here on YouTube. We hear a lot of the good things, but we don't really hear the bad things. So, with that being said, on your first or rather saying your week 3 and 6, that's where you start realizing, okay, things are not easy at all. You start seeing what are the TREG things that you have to do, disclosures, contracts, or the things that you have to read, open house stuff, how to generate leads or how to get leads. You start getting like all of this information thrown to you at once, and in my opinion, it can feel overwhelming. Nevertheless, every single thing is important. So, sorry that you feel overwhelmed. You're gonna have to learn all of this. But that's not the point. The point is, it's understandable that because of a lot of things that happen in a very short time period of time, that's when reality really hits. And that 3 to 6 weeks mark, it's when you're like, oh my God, did I make the right decision on becoming a real estate agent? If that ever goes through your mind before 6 weeks hit, don't worry. that went through my mind too. So it's not a bad thing to feel. But again, sharing my thoughts. Right after that mid point from where I begin all the way to right here, it's when you actually start learning most of the stuff. Because at that point, you're more like, okay, I'm here. I gotta learn. There's a lot of things that are happening, a lot of moving parts. So let's get on the route. Let's get there and let's start learning. So I believe, and actually this is my experience. I believe it was like the second week I started to meet most of my other realtors or fellow realtors in this office, and they were really open to help me. Like, hey, have you thought about this? Can you do this for me? What about open houses? Would you be okay with it? Let me show you how they get done. What are you doing? Can I help you with anything that you're doing? So that actually helped me not be closed and have the option to reach out to people and knowing that they're not going to criticize me because I'm brand new or I don't know the answer to something as simple as like, what do I write in this piece of contract? So typically after week 6, once you make the question of like, did I make the right decision of starting with real estate? That's when you start seeing week 7 of like, now you're going to learn. So you have that honeymoon phase, you have the reality check, and now you've got that thing that we called the learning curve. Again, typically, that's what happens. That's what happened in my experience. Um, in this learning curve, it's when you're most open to asking, like, hey, can I shadow you? Like, I don't know what you do or what you say in these instances. Would you mind if I'm around with you? Or you also get, what are they called? A tutor sort of thing. You get someone assigned from your office that kind of guides you through the process when you have something going on or when they have something going on. So, for example, if they have a showing, they might tell you, like, hey, would you want to partner with me? That way you could see what I say, see what a real life interaction is, because every person that walks in will have a different question. No question is going to be the same, and no question comes at the same time. So, it's really good to have that support. Um, so to not make this video 1 hour long video, I think because of the manager that I have in my office, because of the people that work in this office, and because of the tutor that I have, the mentor, I was able to say, hey, it sounds or it looks difficult, but it's not impossible because I've got tools and resources, and they're not scarce. They're there available for me. I just have to be able to ask for them. So, with that being said, there's a lot of things that I could tell you in my experience. There are like most common mistakes um, that I went through over the first 12 weeks. And the very, very first one, and this is something that I think every realtor everywhere will tell you, it's you can't just be waiting for business. It's not enough just showing up at the office, bringing your computer out, typing some words. It's not enough. You have to really create that business. And what I mean by this is you can't just be waiting for that phone to ring. You can't just be waiting for that app to give you a lead. You really have to talk to friends. You really have to put your name out there. And when I say talk to friends and put your name out there, I don't mean like call them once every 2 to 3 days. At least in my experience, that's not the case. The case, it's always a gentle reminder. Like I'll go out with some friends. Let's say we go out and have some ice cream. And as the conversation goes, it's inevitable by us humans when our friends like, "Hey, how's work going?" I'll make that question, and the most typical thing, it's a reciprocal question of like, it's going good, it's going bad, this is going through. What about yours? And then you say, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So, by the way, if you ever know or hear or have any family member or yourself that is looking to do another move, please let them know about me. It's organic, it's natural, and you didn't have to call them to beg. I always say beg because for me it's like begging, but it's a soft reminder. If you make that question something that it's always in your repertoire of questions, it doesn't feel forced and it just feels like any other question that you'll do any other friend. Um, I guess mistake number two, mm, thinking that you need to have everything perfect before you start, meaning like you have to have the great car, you have to have the perfect business card, the best headshot, the best website, or like, not really. This business is a business of relationships. And yes, it would look a little bit more professional if you have an amazing headshot and you have color coded, outfit that looks amazing and you're smiling and you have that white teeth in there and like yes, it's amazing, right? But a picture doesn't just sell a house by itself. It's really more about what you bring to the table. Although that's an added on, which I can tell you does add value, it's not one of the main make or break for a deal. And I think if I was to say a third mistake that I went through, it's comparing yourself to another person or another agent in your office. Doesn't matter if they're on week 1 and you are on week 20 or vice versa. It doesn't matter if you have 1 year selling homes and this person has 20 years. You can't compare them. It's like you're on step 1 and they're on step 30. Like there's nothing to compare to. And when you do that, like it does bring you down. And that happened to me also in the very first weeks. I was like, oh my God, like tell me what your top producer from like newbies was. And I will tell you this from a manager, she was amazing to say this. I'm not going to tell you because you're going to compare yourself to them. You are yourself and you bring your own results. So that was something that really resonated on me because it is indeed true. I wanted to say, okay, your top producer made, I don't know, 20 deals in 20 weeks, like 1 week a deal, right? Or one deal a week. I think I said it backwards. I'm going to do 21 and I'm going to do it in 19 weeks. Well, what if you don't? Then that's a big downfall. So don't make those mistakes. I made them, and that's how my first 12 weeks have felt. Now, once you've already survived all those 60, 90, yeah, 90 days, like mathing right now. Once you survive those 90 days, you kind of start seeing the ball rolling. You start seeing a little bit more of like, oh, I saw that part of the contract, or I already know what this section of the contract is. It starts to become a little bit more familiar, if you want to call it that way. You're not yet an expert, I can tell you that, because I don't feel like I'm an expert, at least on all the contracts and all that stuff. Like, there's things that I'll still have a question on, but again, I've got resources and I can just ask. So, that's been my experience so far in the first 90 days. But I can also tell you, I've got really great experiences when it comes to open houses, meeting people. I think it's also given me the, how to put it into best words, it's given me the courage to be able to speak to someone, let's say, waiting for a hot dog in a stand next to me, and been able to introduce myself professionally and as someone that's also waiting for the hot dog. If it wasn't, maybe I don't want to say this, but I think I need to say it. If it wasn't for real estate, I would probably not talk to that person standing waiting for the hot dog. I would have probably been waiting and that's it, just staring at the person preparing the hot dog. But because of this, I think I'm more easily able to interact with another person. So I think that's a big positive thing that was also created during this first 90 days. So again, this is my personal experience of what I've lived on the first 90 days. So if you guys had a different um, experience, please put it in the comments down below. There will be some new videos coming out. These will be more real estate related rather than just my own experience. But I think it's always good to share what we feel and to share the things that we've gone through, because the good things are always out there, but the things that really you don't really talk about, they're not really posted, and people need to know and people need to share in order to be more conscious about it and know what other people did in order to get around those hardships. So thank you guys for visiting the channel once again, and we'll see you later.